Welcome to day 5, 2015 Advent of Code. Let's get started. Today I'm going to be doing things slightly differently. First, pull my face back up. First, I'm going to try to do more tests. I'm not doing enough tests. Granted, in some cases, like yesterday, there wasn't many opportunities for tests, or at least the test cases that they gave us. But I could be doing better about testing sort of the individual steps, like turning a string into an integer or something like that, right? So all those little sub functions. So I'm going to A, try to create more tests for those sub functions, and B, try to write those tests before I make those functions. All right, so with that, let's get into day 5. What is this? Okay, this is going to be a nice string, a naughty string. There's rules for what constitutes a nice string. Has to contain at least 3 vowels. Has to contain at least 1 set of repeating letters. And not contain some forbidden strings. All right, so this is going to be a lot of string work. Look at our puzzle input real quick. All right, so this looks like multiple lists. Let's pull up VS Code. Let's see, which day? This was a list of strings. This is going to be more like day 2, I think. Remember when we had a list of integers, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this because I think that the format of how we're going to be doing our input is going to be more like this. So let's rename this. Why do I have a day 5 here? Did I make that? What's going on here? Oh, this should be day 4. All right, let me rename that. That's going to confuse Git. All right, this is day 5. Rename. Okay. And I will open up into that and close out this. All right, so first let's get our test input, remove all those, and put all those in there. Okay, so we got 1,000 different words that we're gonna have to go through. That's not that many as far as a time goes for doing different rules. Let's save that. And like I thought, the way that it should be iterating through that will be the same. All right, let's look at the, and what I'm going to try to do this time is do better at testing those different functions, right? So we want to have a list of strings. We're not going to do that yet, though I guess we could do that. All right, let's see. It's just going to be a list of strings, isn't it? Yeah, it's just going to be a list of strings that we're going to want to get out of that. And those strings are going to be because we're still going to want to test whether we load that. This. Then after we get these 5 test cases in here, let's put this up. We'll make it prettier. Those, right? We're just going to dump string result in here, and then we're going to copy over that. And remember, we're not looking for results. We're just looking to make sure that this imports our stuff in the way that we want it to. All right. Do I not have? So I still have there, even though it's the end, I'm gonna have one of those. All right. So let's pull the terminal up. Oh, I haven't even added those, but we'll still test it anyway. Should say, oh, because I still have this old stuff in here. Let's I think that when we actually are going to be testing these, we're going to be, what's this? Oh, because I can't make those integers. All right, so let's go to main. So we've got these inputs done with. Let's go to main. We're not going to be doing string to int because we just have strings, so we can get rid of that function. We keep our error check. We're going to load string and we're going to return string int. Okay, and we're not going to have to split anything. Start with an empty string and return that. We're not going to need to do the blocks. We are going to open the file, check the file, close the file, scanner equals scan. Okay, so for this, we're just going to be we don't need to sort anything. This is going to be right. We don't need to split. We're just going to be adding scanner text, I believe. Block. They have to initialize this. All right, I think that will be it. Let's try it. Oh, because we have part 1 and part 2. All right, let's comment some of these out for now. Delete some of them. We can, what do we know? Strings. All right, so we are going to be, well, we don't know anything about, we don't know anything yet about what part 2 is, but we'll just assume that we're going to be passing this into it. It's just so that we can set it before we commented it out. To all right, and we're not doing anything with this yet. We're just going to be returning some stuff. All right, so let's save that. Those should not cause those errors anymore. Okay, and we have passed that first test. So we know that right now it is successfully reading that file. Now let's look at some of the things that we're going to have to do. And I'm going to just, sorry, my desk is a little squeaky. Just going to copy this over. Instead of going into part 1, let's look at how we're going to be, just make some comments on the rules that we're going to, the things that we're going to need to test, right? So does string contain 3 vowels? Does string not contain those forbidden substrings, and does contain a repeat? Okay. So, and I'd like to think about the order in which we can evaluate these to sort of fail fast, if you know what I'm saying. So, for example, I'm pretty sure that Go contains like a built-in library that can evaluate things like contains, right? So if we were to ask quickly if it contains any of these three things, it would, say yes, it contains it, fail quick, right? So I feel like that could be the first thing we test for. Now, we could do the same thing for these vowels, right? But this repeat. Sorry, I did this out of order. I think that forbidden string should go first. All right. Now with the other two, we're just thinking about how we're building this. With the other two, in order to see if there's a repeat, I'm thinking that what I'm going to have to do is iterate through each character in the string, save, for example, index 0, right? Say it's, in this case, it's J, right? J. And then go to the next one and say, does index 1 J equal, or index 0 J equal index 1 C? No, if not, keep going, right? Because it needs to compare, the two next to each other. That'll require one pass through and be relatively quick for each string, and it can sort of pass out when it's done. And I think that while I'm doing that, I can also be looking for whether something contains vowels. So I think I'm going to first check for the forbidden strings, substrings. Then I'm going to iterate through the whole string and look for these second two things. All right, so let's first check. Let's make a test to pass in a forbidden string. And I'll get rid of this right here. And return a Boolean, I'd say, because this is just going to be if it's true or false. That's all we want, right? And let's make this function name forbidden substring. I'm trying to really do this test-driven development stuff today. We'll find one that does not have the forbidden substring. And we'll say true. It's going to be like sort of a pass-fail, like true, we're good, false, we're bad. Maybe we'll have to rename. We're going to call it no forbidden substring, just so that the results are more clear. Because true would be true, right? And then let's have one that has forbidden substring. It has a forbidden substring, and it should be false. All right. So, all right. So what we'll do is we'll run the test, go test. It's going to say you don't even have this function. So I'm going to maximize this for now since we're just working on this. And we're going to add now that function. And it's going to accept a, what were we calling that? Of course, as soon as I minimize it. String, well, that's not. It's nicer when they use, more descriptive words for it, like instead of it being a string, it's a ribbon or something like that. So we'll just call this str string that we're passing in, and we're going to return Boolean. And I think what we do is we test it again, and doesn't really do anything, but it should fail one and pass one. Let's see, fails. Oh, just because it failed one. I think it cut out. If we were to return it to true, maybe it would pass the first one. Let's see. Who knows? False, true, true, false. Okay, so it stopped at 22 last time and stopped at 23 this time. So, okay, so we're good. Now, what I'm thinking is that there is, let's pull up that Firefox tab again, a Golang string contains, and I feel like I have done this before. And I think that maybe we could even combine this with a case. I could do a bunch of for loops in here. Yeah, some space. For loops in here, but instead doing that. Okay. Benchmarking stuff. I don't have time for that. Let's look at one more and see if there's any sort of insight. Okay, we don't want to. So we do know that it returns a true or false. So let's. Kids are upstairs eating breakfast. lunch, whatever it is. All right. So we have, okay, let's make that struct with the forbidden strings, right? Equals string, and we'll put all of those forbidden ones there. That's a good place to start. All right. Let's see what they look like. A bunch of those. A, B. How many are there? C, D, P, Q, X, Y. Ah! C, D, P, Q, X, Y. Okay. I can just do this myself. But then I'll do it wrong. I'll mistype something and get wrecked. All right. All right. So we've got our forbidden strings there, and what we could do is start with the assumption that that it's good, and then we'll change that response. Okay, so for we don't care about the index. We'll call the forbidden string. In range forbidden strings if so it returns a true or false. So we're gonna say, I think if not, because we want it to like fail, right? That means that if it returns false, let's see, if not strings contains, and then our string spelled that wrong. str contains fs. What's it mad about here? Oh, I gotta save it, and then it'll import that library. Okay, so I think, hold on. Daughter came in asking if she's going to preschool today. She is not. All right, so I think this is good. I think this is good. It'll iterate through this list and check whether this is in it. If it's true, this won't be, it'll just keep iterating through. So it'll check all of them. Starting is true. It'll return false if it hits one that's false. Let's try it. Oh, it failed. Why did it fail? 22 equals 2 equals false. Oh, that's because if it's in it. So if this is true, if the thing's in it, then we want to return false, right? Yeah, that's why. Okay, good test, passed. All right, good. So now we have successfully been able to test that we can assess whether the string contains a forbidden string. All right, so now let's move on to our next one. And I think that we're going to sort of assess these together. Let's say, 3 vowels. All right. And this is also going to return. So let's see. We'll keep this one as true. This is like always going to be true, right? Which is one. This one contains only 1 vowel. So we'll copy that in there. All right. So well, let's see. Now, do we want to check it individually or check it at the same time? Because the way that we set this up, if I set them up as separate things, right? Then these kids are loud. If I set it up as individual things, then it has to go through twice. But I suppose if I were to remove a loop, then it wouldn't be testing it. Let's do these two together. Let's do these two together. This one's always going to be true. Just call this iterate. Not part one, just iterate. This is going to be false because it only contains 1 vowel. And this is going to be false because it contains the double letter. What am I going to do first? Double letter second. All right. So what I'll do is expect, we'll just make it so that this one passes first and then this one passes. All right. So let's test it. It'll fail because we need to iterate. So let's go over here and add a function called iterate. And it's going to accept a string, and it's going to return a bool as well. We don't care yet what, and it's going to, what should these assume true or they should assume false? I think they should assume false. We'll just see. So one thing that it's going to have to do is call another one that says, what was that one that we had made? Unc, what did I call it? 3 vowels. No, that's the kind of, we're gonna make one that just says is vowels. We're going to do it sort of the same way as we did before with contains. We can just say, what are we going to say? Is. Oh, I could do a little swaparoo, right? All right, so is val, it's going to get a string. Call it character. It's going to just be one character. It's going to return a and what we're going to do, so this is gonna, let's get ready to think about this. For, we don't care about the index character in, no, that's Python. String. Okay, so this is going to iterate over every character in that string. And we're going to need a count here. Vowel count. Again, because we're doing this anyways, we're just going to set this equal to 0. And we're going to do something like if vowel count is less than 3, then we will assess vowel count. Because if vowel count's already more than 3, then who cares anymore? We've sort of passed that test, right? So if it's less than 3, though, we're going to we could return an int here. That's a good idea. All right, and what we're going to do is vowel count, and we will iterate plus equal is vowel with the character, right? So we'll have it set to if there's no vowel, then we return a 0. If there is a vowel, we'll return a 1, right? And so every time there's a vowel, it'll iterate by 1. Once it gets above 3, it just won't assess it anymore. All right. So let's see. Is vowel count. And so what are we going to do here? How are we going to figure that out? I think that we could do this contains again, but sort of swap it around, right? Let's say vowels is going to be containing, it's going to be an array containing, no, I don't need to do that. So vowels is just going to equal our string containing the vowels. Let's see. Because we're going to do a little sort of switcheroo. We're going to say if strings contains, and then our string is going to be vowels, and our scene if what that contains is going to be our character. So we're sort of switching it around. We're saying, does this string of vowels contain the character that we're checking? And if it does, we are going to return 1. else return 0. Why is this mad? Did I spell that wrong? Oh, because I always do this, strings. You know, because it turns, you know, green, and I think that that's where I want to be. All right, so this should, why is this unhappy? Rune? Why is that a rune? Let's see. Um, apparently it's hold on. Somebody says the most correct way. There's only one answer, so that'll be easy. Oh, but it's not. Okay. Run is unicorn. Range A print C. I don't know. Do I just need to make that rune a string? I mean, that's really annoying. That's a friggin' rune. I mean, I guess I could figure out what. No, that wouldn't work. Yeah, I don't want to figure out what the runes are. Um, why is it difficult? Okay. Can I just convert it to a rune? I mean, let's just see if I can convert it to a rune. Or a string. A2I rune quote rune. Let's see if that does it. All right, well, it looks like it's working. And where did it fail? 28. If that's 28, oh, well, let's see. Expected true. Oh, that's because I never. Um, I gotta assess this. We're gonna say if val count is greater than or equal to 3. All right, so that should. What is this? Okay, we can do that. No, I'm fine with that. Well, no, I don't want to do that because I have to assess other things too. Let's see. Now we'll test it. And it should pass 28. Is that the same? 28. So that should be true because it should have enough vowels. Let's just print care, just to see where we are. That print line. It's annoying. All right, well, let's do. Otherwise, we're going to have to do this for other things, right? We'll change this. All right. And then we can just real quick print line. Just to see how we're iterating through things. So let's look. We are testing U, G, H, K, N, P. Okay. So let's see if we're returning. This should only say if it's in it, and we're gonna print str just to make sure we're doing that right. And let's get rid of this test again. I see print line. So it did the whole thing. Hold on. So that's saying that that string is the whole line. What have I done? What have I done wrong? Is vowel care. Oh, that's because I put it in the wrong place. That's why. Okay. I'm not keeping track of what I am doing. All right. That was checking to see. This is where I'm going to check to see if and character. All right, so now this should print all of the vowels. Let's see if it prints all the vowels. Nope, it sure doesn't. Okay, so what am I doing wrong? Am I calling that is vowel, and I'm going to send that's less than 3. Alcon equals 0. It's less than 3. We're iterating over. I saw before that it was iterating over. It's going to send that string up to here. And it's going to say if this contains the character that I'm giving it, then print that character. And it's not printing the character. And what is that character? This should hit the first one, right? It should hit the first one. Why isn't it? Let's do this again. Like it's never going into it. Maybe it's just not getting called. vowel count is less than 3 and do this stuff. Let's only print once we get in here to see if we're even hitting in there. All right. So we are getting in there. U is in there. Maybe this is just something I can't do with adding that. Because it's certainly not entering that. Let's see if it is. Let's pull this out of the loop. And remove this again. So we know that it's getting in there. Okay, that's good. So it is getting them, but it's not doing strings contains. Do I need to swap them? Maybe I need to swap them. Should only print vowels, right? What the well, I'm only going to do this first part, aren't I? I thought this one was going to be relatively straightforward. It's definitely this way. I don't know why I tried testing it the other way. Okay, we know that this is a string. We know that this is a string. It's not getting in there. Always returning 0. Huh. All right. Let's think. We got strings contains. Got the big one, A-E-I-O-U. The small one, if it contains it. If it contains it, return true. Let's just try. Is vowel. Let's do. So this is how we can do it. Let's just. Does it contain one vowel? Is vowel. Is vowel. We're gonna send A, and we're gonna get 1, right? Right. Test. Get rid of this. And let's see how it goes. Fails. Actual 0. Why? Why is that? Why is that? Sending an integer. What if I send the whole thing in? Is that what's going on? Once so it wants the whole thing. Contains, that's not what contains should do. That is not what contains should do. Vowels is this. If vowels, which is a string, contains 4, which is just that one character. If that's true, which it should be, and it is a string. Man, this is super frustrating and I'm running out of time. That's a string. That's a substring. You guys, I don't know why this doesn't work. This it works. Why didn't it work before? I'm gonna have to go back and watch this video and see what I was doing wrong. All right, so there was something stupid there. I spelled something wrong, I bet. All right, now this one goes to 32. It doesn't get it, but it's able to see if this is a vowel. Oops. Let's say U, and let's say T should be 0. All right, save. Let's just comment this out again real quick. Test a couple of those cases. All right, so it's able to assess now if it's a vowel and will return the correct number. All right. Now we're going to start integrating that into this. Why that didn't work before is beyond me. All right, so we're going to start with a vowel count. We're going to start iterating through. We're going to. Now let me do something real quick. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not printing those characters like appropriately, or like converting them into strings appropriately. Let's look. So, all right, so this is just an AUT. When it was doing it before, it was doing it in quotes, which is not what I want. So that explains this part, right? So this quote rune is not what I want. Let's go look at that. Converting from a rune to a string. Just says string. All right, well, maybe that's all I need to do. Let's see. And remember, we haven't dealt with all these yet, so we do know it should fail, but it should fail on, I think, line 36 right now, if this test passes. All right, good, 36. That means it found the 3 vowels in all these other ones. All right, now we're cracking. Great. Oh. Okay, now we're going to say has double, because this is a condition of just like true or false, right? So we're going to start with false because it doesn't have a double yet. All right, so we've dealt with that, so it's going to iterate through, and we're going to past character. So now we need to settle whether the like the two adjacent characters, right? Right. So char string is the current character. And we're just going to say if char str equals past car. So this will check, it'll fail on the first one, right? We should actually make this a separate thing. All right. Just so that we can test it. Oops. Hope nobody yells at me for that. Is duplicate. And that is going to get two things. Past there is string and string. We are going to return Boolean value. Okay. If past car equals our string, we can just return this. Because if it's true, then it'll return true. If it's false, then it'll return false. All right. So let's start testing. What did I call that? Is dupe. And wrong because I should have made my test first, right? So we're gonna make just dupe a, just do this. A should be true. A be false. Be false. All right, so we've done the two things. This is what it should start with, right? Nothing and a yes, I've done some Python before. What's your name? Mayor FTW. And I've done some of these kinds of problems before, so I sort of understand what kind of things should exist. But as far as Go is concerned, I don't know too much about Go. Thanks for asking. Well, I'm hitting an hour too. So let's see if I can finish up this first part, and maybe I'll do the second part tomorrow. All right, so let's just test that. Has double. What's has double? Oh, I made this that I don't use. All right. I also made this. And we'll come back to that. This is the kind of annoying thing about Go is that just in case nobody can see that, the in Go everything sort of has to be compilable, so you can't have sort of things that you don't use. Okay, pass. So that means that this is accurately parsing that. So now let's start using it. Okay, we're starting with nothing. We're going to iterate through, and we're going to, instead of asking that, we need to compare these each time. If so, we're going to say if has, so it started with has double because we don't know if there's a double yet. We're going to say this is going to be like a switch, right? If has double is false, we want to assess it. So we're going to say if not has double. So if we don't have a double yet, then has double is equal to is dupe, right? Which will return either true or false. False if it's not. With what is it? Past care and care string. All right. So that should be able to check whether there's a double and switch it over to true if there is a double, and if there's not a double, keep it as false. So what I want to do is, as I'm still just iterating over these strings, right? If that, and then I'm going to do and. I think and might be two ands. And as double, return true, or else return false. All right. This should be the moment of truth for this final test case. Go tests, fails. Line 40. Oh, it doesn't like that anymore. What's wrong with line 40? Because before I did that, so we know that it's assessing this, and it should be turning it to true if there's a double character set. and it should only be assessing it while there's not a double character. So it should be going through the strings. Once it hits 3 vowels, it should stop doing this. Once it has a double character, it should stop doing this. But it should keep doing either of those. And then once it gets to the end, it should, if it's greater than 3 and has double, maybe I'm not doing the and better. I bet you that's the problem. I'm guessing that there's like some parentheses or something. If, I bet you I have to parentheses outside of both of these. Let's try that. Oh no, it just removed them. Oh, past care is always empty. Oh, thank you. I've never reset. So what I need to do is, as I go through this, I need to make new character equal past character is my sort of last step. So you are right. That is what my problem is, because I was only assessing the comparison for past character and current character, and past character was always empty. See, that's why it's nice having people watch to tell me things. Thank you very much. So what I need to do is reset past character. So past character, set that equal to character string. And that should now allow me to iterate over. All right, let's do it again. There we go. All right, so now all I have to do is in part 1, I'm getting that list of string. Now I'm going to iterate. All right, let's see. Our final test. This is all we're going to do today for, we're just going to do part 1, unless part 2 seems like a super easy. Tests part 1. And this is going to somehow I'm always losing that. All right. Part 1 with data. And let's look at these again. So part 1 has all these ones in it. Nice, nice, naughty, naughty, naughty. So that should equal 2. And we'll get rid of these. What's it mad about here? I need another. All right. So that's part 1. Fails, which we expect. All right. So what we're going to do is a nice count set it equal to 0, and then iterate for we don't care about our index in range data. And so remember, this is returning just a true or just a false. So if, what did I call that? Iterate string. So if it's true, nice count is going to increase. And then we're going to return nice count. Oh my God. Can you hear the people stomping? Now that I know people are failed. It said 3. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Why is it naughty? Have I not properly? Oh, because I was only iterating. I also haven't checked the forbidden substring, which is going to return. If iterate and what was that called? Let me collapse some of these. No forbidden string. So if iterate string and no forbidden string, all right, there we go. So now we're assessing both of them. So now let's see if we can do part 1 with go run. Go run. There you go. 255. So that's about a quarter of those 1,000 in 1 millisecond. Got it like that. Guess I could just write 255. Oops, not 3. Right answer, gold star. All right, we're gonna look at part 2. Let's see. All right, there's just more strings here. I'm gonna do this tomorrow, or maybe I'll do it tonight, depending on what I have time for. But for now, this has definitely taken a pretty big deal of time, and I need to get back to work. So thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for the hints. We will, this took a lot longer, but we have a lot more lovely tests here for this. And I think that learning process and figuring out what tests we have to run, and me at least getting better at making those tests in the front end is sort of the reason that I'm doing this, breaking it down into little meaningful tasks. So yeah, so with that, I'm going to stop this stream and either come back tonight or tomorrow with part 2 of this. All right, so thank you, and thanks for the hint in chat. I appreciate it. Take care.